What's up, guys? And gals? And lizard people? Any sentient beings? Robots? Thank you, Aug, for having me on. I really enjoyed it. It was good. It's a style of conversing that doesn't have the normal sort of trip-ups that happen in normal conversation when you're trying to worry about offending somebody or being politically correct or saying something that's too outlandish for them to comprehend or be able to ingest without either rejecting or running away or getting angry or something like that. So it was a really good conversation. For my subscribers that are not yet aware, I had about a 2-hour long conversation with Aug Tellez yesterday via Zoom, and I'll put the link for that video in the comments, or the whatever that thing's called, below. Not the comments, in the notes portion. Also, when I was doing my meditations this morning, like a minute ago, there was this really good track called psychedelic breathwork music, I think. Really good. So I'll leave the link for that in the description. That's what it's called, in the description box as well, if you'd like to check that out. I want to talk very quickly, I'm not going to make this very long, but about the initial premise for the video was escape is a bad word, but liberation. That's what he said. Liberation from the simulation, which is this place we're in. That was the premise of the talk, and it was describing an ice wall and that it's impenetrable for the most part, but it's a barrier to people leaving the realm unless you are basically fit to leave. And to be fit to leave, what I got from it is that it's the same thing as Gautama Buddha taught, and that is you're not attached to anything here in the physical realm. It doesn't mean that you don't utilize things and you don't walk around and interact with people, but in other words, every single situation that happens, every single outcome to every single situation that happens in your personal life bears the same weight as every other situation. There's not one that's so much better than the other. They're all life. One's not deemed more valuable than the other, because that's the duality system, and if we carry that duality system into the higher, then we'll cause a ruckus for all the beings that are up there. It's the same story as the camel going through the eye of the needle. One of my other friends had an interesting take on that. He was I think he was slightly modifying the story to fit his needs, but the normal conception of camel and the eye of the needle, and I think I might have made a video on this before, but the normal conception is that you have a literal camel, like a giant animal, and then you have a pin, you know, with a hole in the end of it that's used for sewing. And so Jesus said the camel's more likely to be able to fit through the eye of that needle than for a rich man to make it to heaven, which is of course impossible to even contemplate. It's an absurdity to think about a camel trying to go through the eye of a needle. But what my friend was saying was that this is referring to, the eye of the needle is referring to a camel-shaped hole in a castle, basically, or like a wall to a village, a stronghold. And it's only shaped as big as the camel because they don't want something else sneaking in with it. So all the luggage and stuff has to be taken in via a different route because the camel won't fit with a person or any luggage on it. It's just going to barely squeeze through. That also doesn't make a lot of sense to me because I think camels are probably different size, but that was the story that he was saying. In other words, the camel can't bring luggage. In other words, we can't bring luggage into heaven. We can't bring our attachments. We can't bring our desires. We have to become pure to the point where we're not trying to bias the experience, where one outcome is favorable to another. We can play and move, but it's about, like what he was saying, it's about balance. As above, so below. If you balance yourself here, balance everything out, balance your emotions, so you're not triggered by this, that, and the other thing. You're not triggered by the news. You're not triggered by, you know, anything really. You're there and you're aware, but you're not being triggered. You're not being forcefully manipulated. And you're using creativity always. Because the situation, once you get out of the train track mode of predetermined life, you're free and you're a creator. You're creating everything. So if you still have fear, and you still have fear of death, and you still are attached to certain rule sets, then you're not going to be able to move, or else you're going to inhibit everybody else that doesn't have that. He also said that flat Earth was controlled and is also part of the projects. And he said everything is part of the projects. Apparently, according to him, the whole realm is controlled. I mean, I don't know much about the projects, but makes sense to me. Flat Earth just seems to Flat Earth has two effects to me. It either turns people into argumentative mode and they're trying to defend belief systems, or it opens people up and they're like, wait a second, like I can like do whatever. I can say that this place is whatever. I don't have to say it's anything. I can call it a ball or a flat place or a plane or an inhabitation zone. You know, you can name it or you can not name it. That's what I came to. What I was telling Aug is that, like, you can only see a tiny portion of it, so the ball is imaginary no matter what, unless you're literally out in space, and none of us have done that. So we don't know. Yeah. Anyway, thank you again, Aug. I appreciate it. And hope everybody's doing well. Bye.